Retire as champion!
Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about operational space and what that means for each hero, and specifically what that means for groupings of heroes, where they're going to fight on the battlefield, where they have advantageous positioning, and where they can be the most effective to complete the objectives of the map or defend against the attackers completing the objectives. So first of all, we're going to look at how Blizzard organizes the heroes at the moment. They have offense, defense, tanks, and support. Now, while I think this is a great start for beginning players, I think as more advanced players start to enter the game and your position on the battlefield becomes more and more important in objective-based maps, I think that we're going to start to see more of a breakdown of these heroes based on what function they serve in the space of the map. I mean, after all, the space of the map is the most important part of combat. Many of these heroes are based around their positioning on the battlefield and how that affects their ability to kill other enemy heroes. So first of all, we're going to look at a basic layout of a map. Most of these maps, particularly the payload maps, start with an attacker main exit that leads out onto literally a street in many cases through an urban setting. Usually the shortest distance to the objective point. It's the place where we're going to see our pushers, and we'll get to that category later. We're going to see our pushers on the front lines, forcing the enemy team out of their defensive positions and eventually pushing to the capture point of the map. We also have flanking areas you can see listed with flank starts from the attacker position, and these flanks are generally smaller alleyways, walkways, overlooks. They generally go further around the map. They aren't a direct route to the capture point, and they're generally smaller. They generally are smaller rooms or smaller alleyways, different ways to navigate the map. Then there's also overlook positions. These positions are areas that are higher up, have a verticality to them that allow certain classes a height advantage in the map. So let's look at the heroes again and sort them by advantageous spacing on the battlefield. So here we have 5 roles instead of 4, but certain roles have been combined, certain roles have been shifted around, and this is all based on their advantageous spacing, where their operational space is generally most effective on the battlefield. So we have the pushers, the frontline players. They operate within this frontline space. They are able to absorb damage. So we have the tank heroes in this category, and we also have the support heroes in this category because they're able to restore health. So we generally see these heroes on the front lines pushing the payload or pushing the front line point to the objective. And these heroes are able to absorb a lot of damage and restore a lot of health. So also we have this category of flankers. Now flankers can be any hero. Any hero can take these alternate routes around the map. But the flankers are able to do it in ways that are faster in the case of Tracer or more stealthy in the case of Reaper. They're able to get behind the enemy front lines and harass or eliminate soft targets or disrupt the general frontline force of the enemy team. Now the overlook positions are generally occupied by classes that are able to take advantage of this verticality of the map. Next up we have the area deniers. This is a grouping of heroes that are able to control a certain area of the map based on their positioning. Usually they want wide sight lines, areas that they can dominate with their heavy firepower. They're generally a class or a grouping of heroes that allow a team to defend or control an area as they push up the map. Finally, we have the skirmishers. This grouping of heroes act as hybrids, able to switch between front lines and flanking. They're able to have some level of verticality. Depending on hero to hero, they share some attributes with the other 4 operational spacing categories. Now, just like the Blizzard category of heroes, these characters aren't pigeonholed into these roles. They're able to switch between. I mean, we can have tanks that flank or support heroes that use verticality to their advantage, but at the same time, there's kind of an intuitive flow to how these games seem to go from the footage we've seen so far, and it generally involves these situational, operational spacing elements that allow heroes to excel at certain areas of the map. So while this was just a broad overview of where I see these heroes playing out in the average battlefield positioning-wise, I think that it's important to note that each hero is able to cross over into different areas and has different sets of strengths and weaknesses.
Surprise! Sentry going up. First cap.